Ben Kentish from LBC.
Thank you. Firstly, to the two directors, two academic studies have now concluded that the lockdown measures are likely to have to be in place for a significant proportion of the year. Is that your assessment too? And to the Secretary of State, welcome back to work. On the 23rd of January, before there are any cases in the UK, you told the House of Commons that Britain was well equipped and well prepared for coronavirus. More than 2 months on, you're announcing emergency measures to make up for a crucial shortfall in testing. We've all heard stories of frontline workers having to go to work without vital protective equipment, and the NHS has only about a third of the ventilators that you've said it needs. Did something change in those 2 months? Was the crisis worse than we thought it was going to be, or are we simply not well prepared or well equipped at all?
No, I think that the response of the health and social care system thus far has been nothing short of heroic. I think in terms of the preparation and how equipped we are, the fact that we've been able to expand the NHS faster than the increase in demand and have these spare critical care beds at this point in the crisis, I think has been fantastic. Of course, increasing the amount of tests is mission critical, and I've just announced that we're going to accelerate that, but we've hit the target that we set at the start, which was 10,000 tests a day by the end of March. And on PPE, we are prepared and we have the stocks of PPE. The challenge has been the distribution of the PPE to make sure that every single person of the 1.4 million people in the NHS, and then the over 2 million people in social care, and then the other public services that need PPE like the prisons and police and what have you, so that everybody gets it. And that is a constant effort to make sure that this distribution of PPE flows well, which we've got the military logistics people handling. So in a crisis like this, we're always going to have challenges, and I understand why people are worried about some of the problems, and I understand why people are worried about the disease. You know, I've just been through it, and I understand how people feel, especially when you're on the way down before you turn the corner. So I get that. But I think that we were well equipped and well prepared, and we've been working night and day to respond to the specific problems that we have with this virus and the specific challenges that it throws up. Steve?
Well, look, I think everybody has been absolutely clear that when it comes to the end of the 3 weeks that were announced for these initial measures, that will simply not be the end of it. The virus will still be here, and we will still need to work out how we deal with it going forward. And of course, that's an issue for every country in the world. It's not an issue uniquely for the UK. And of course, in plotting that course, we will be working with other countries to understand new information, new knowledge that we can use to plot that course going ahead. I think it's also really critical to be clear that this is a new virus, and there are still things that we don't know about that we would need to know about, or would certainly help us in plotting that strategy going forward. And I'll give you a few examples of those. So we don't know, for example, how many people are asymptomatic, i.e. get the virus but don't develop symptoms. There is work going on around the world, including here, as Secretary of State has outlined, and we are ahead in many ways on this to determine what that is. But it's not knowable yet because the virus hasn't been around long enough. We don't know how long immunity lasts, so it is likely that you become immune, i.e. You develop a response that means it's less likely that you will get the virus once you've had it, but we don't know how long that immunity lasts for. And we know from other viruses that some immunity is long lasting, but some might last a year or so. That's not knowable yet because the virus has only been around for a few months, and it will take more time to accumulate that knowledge. We don't know what drugs are likely to work. And that's going to be really important in thinking about a long-term strategy. We have already put patients into clinical trials in the UK, and we are ramping up clinical trials, and we are working internationally. And information about drug treatment and what works and what doesn't work will be really important in a long-term strategy for this virus. And of course, vaccines are a very key part of this. Vaccines take time to develop, but I think the international effort that's going into vaccines is probably greater than any other disease in the history of mankind. And so I'm sure that we will get to vaccines, but at this stage, it's not possible to be confident when. So yes, we will need to develop that strategy, but there are things that we still need to discover and find out about this virus that will inform and aid us greatly in how that is developed going forward.